First question is to solve for x. So at the end of the question, I'm hoping to eventually have x equals. That will get me my full, hopefully 10 out of 10. But in order to start off with, I need to at least simplify something here because it's quite complicated on the left. The right looks okay. There's nothing I can simplify there. So even just to get my start marks, I'm going to multiply that in. And I'm only going as far as here with my multiplying because my bracket closes. And so they don't want me to multiply the 4 by anything past the bracket. So that is minus 20. That minus 1 is just still there. And my equals is still there. And the 3x plus 7. Now, you can clean things up further if you'd like, or start already moving letters to one side, numbers to the other. So that's what I'm going to do. I have 8x. I'm going to move this 3x over. It becomes a minus 3x. Again, keep your equals in the same position usually the whole way down the page, makes it easier. I have a minus 20 going over that direction becomes a plus 20, a minus 1 going over that direction. In other words, it's going over the equal sign. If it doesn't go over the equal sign, which is why it's so important to keep it there consistently, then I don't change the sign. So it is going over the equal sign, so it becomes a plus 1. The 7 is staying on the same side, so it doesn't change sign. If it went over this side past the equal sign, then it would change signs. It would become the opposite. So here I simplify even further. I go as far as 5x, 20, 21, 28 on the right, and then 5 times some number gives me 28. So I'm bringing that over, becomes the opposite, becomes division, becomes 28 over 5, and you can write that as a decimal if you prefer. The next question. Again, it's asking me to solve, except this time it has an x squared in it. Whenever I see an x squared, I'm usually thinking about the minus b formula. So I go to my log tables, I get my algebra section, and I carefully match off A is the 3, B is the minus 5, and C is the plus 1. And then I carefully fill into my formula. So my formula says minus, and then it says B, and then I can do either the plus or the minus next. So I'm going to choose the plus. The square root of B squared minus 4 times A, which is a 3 in this situation, times C, which is a 1, all over 2 times A. And if I put that into my calculator, I should get my full marks, but just take your time doing it. So I'll just show you it all there. So minus for my formula, B is a minus 5, plus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C all over 2 times A. So into my calculator, I can either put the minus in the minus, or I maybe know that a minus and a minus is a plus. So I can put my 5 in. Then my plus, the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C all over 2 times A. Oops. So, oh, I forgot a bracket there. Okay, and they want me to round off to 2 decimal places. So one of my answers is 1.43. And the other one is, when I go back here, and instead of the plus, I replace it with a minus. And again, to 2 decimal places, 0.23. Next question is solving again, so it's similar to this one. Okay. The left has a lot to clean up this time. So I take my time. I've got 3x minus 21. The 5 wants to be multiplied by this. So it's a plus 5. So it's plus 5x. Plus by minus is a minus. 5 by 4 is 20. And again, the equals are staying where it is. And I have 15. You can clean up the left-hand side, or you can start moving things around already. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave the 3x and the 5x on this side. So there's no changing of sign because they're staying on the same side. And then on the other side, I'm going to move over the minus 21, so it becomes a plus 21. I'm going to move over, see, they're all crossing the equal sign, the minus 20, so it becomes a plus 20, and the 15 is staying where it is, so it's staying a plus 15. So on the left, I end up with 8x, and on the right, I end up with 56. And then 8 times some number gives me 56. So that's one way of looking at it. Or the other way is to go, the 8 is going over the equal sign, so it becomes the opposite, it becomes division. X is 7. Next two questions were factorizing. So a squared minus 16n squared. So it's the difference two squares. It's just a method. We need to have everything squared, so that's fine. That's not fine, and that is fine. So to get my starting marks here, I need to write that as 4 squared. Once I'm as far as there, I put down my two brackets. It's the first minus the second, the first plus the second. And the second type of factorizing that you would have looked at in the test was AC minus AD minus BD plus BC. So I'm ignoring these two, and I'm seeing that these two have A in common. So I take it out, and then I'm writing down my sign. I'll always use that sign. And then I'm checking these two, and I see that they have a B in common. So I'm hoping that what's left inside in the bracket here matches, and then I'll know I'm right. So the A has gone out, so I'm left with a C minus a D. So that's pretty, I think, straightforward there. Then I'm taking out the minus B, so I'm left with a D, and then I'm left with a C. And if you think about it, a minus by what gives me a plus, so it is a minus. Now, if my brackets don't match exactly, maybe we want to move things around a little bit, okay? So let's go for AC minus AD plus BC minus BD. Okay, so instead of having them the original way, I'm deciding just to change them up a little bit because these two brackets don't exactly match for me, and I'm not really happy about that. So we're just going to move it around, and we're going to do the exact same thing again. And this time when I do that, I end up A plus B is one factor and C minus D is the other. And you can check that out, go slower, okay? And you can see there the brackets do match. The A was in common, the B was in common, and the brackets match. So I can write down my two factors at the end there. The next thing was a simultaneous equation. There's a few ways to do this. Do the x's cancel out? No. We'd need a plus 3x and a minus 3x. So that's not going to happen here. So we do need to do something if we're going to try and cancel out the x's. And what about the y's? If you had a plus y and a minus 2y, no, they're not opposites. They're not going to cancel out. So I'm going to pick to cancel out the y's, which means I'm going to multiply that top line by 2. So everything in that top line needs to be multiplied by 2. So take your time. I'm leaving the bottom line as it is. And now I can see I have opposites here. They cross off. And then I have a 6x and a 3x gives me a 9x. And I have a 22 minus a 4 gives me 18. 9 times some number gives me 18. Or you can always just bring the 9 over, it becomes division. You'd end up with x is 2. Take the easiest equation, so maybe that very first one looks like it's the easiest. So 3x plus y equals 11. X is no longer missing. You've done all this hard work, so it's 3 times 2 plus something gives me 11. So that's 6 plus something gives me 11. And again, you can either think of it logically, 6 plus what gives me 11, or you can move the 6 over the equal sign and it becomes a minus 6. Either way, you end up with 5. And the last bit of that question was scientific notation. Here, I'm going to use my calculator as much as possible to help. So it says, the question says, I need to write this number in the form of a by 10 to the power of something. So that's called scientific notation, and the form is written there. And it says a has to be between 1 and 10. So to get a few marks, instead of having it looking like this, I'm going to write it as 1.45 by 10 to the power of something. Okay, so let's check that out. 1.45 by 10 to the power of, and I've moved it twice, so it's either going to be 2 or minus 2. That's it. That was the original number. That's it written in scientific notation. 1.45 by 10 to the power of 2. The next number was 0.0035. Again, you can use your calculator to help if you can. I'm going to put the decimal point in between the 3 and the 5, so it's 3.5 by 10 to the power of something. And you can check it out in your calculator, but I've moved it 3 places, except this time I've moved it 3 places in the other direction, so it's 10 to the power minus 3. 533,020. So 533,020. Now I want to put the decimal point in here, in between the 5 and the 3, by 10 to the power of, and again, you know, use the calculator to figure this out. So 5.3302 by 10 to the power of something, and when I press equals, it should look like this. So I moved it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So either a 5 or a minus 5. Is that the original number? Yes, it is. So you can see there, I'm getting all the help I can from my calculator. 198.4 in scientific notation, 1.984 by 10 to the power of, how many times did I move it? So 1.984 by 10 to the power of, I moved it twice. So if I have a 2 here and I press equals, I should end up with that number. They should be the same thing. Perfect. 10 to the power 2. And the very last one, 0.000589. Again, get my start marks by putting the decimal point in between the 5 and the 8. And I move the decimal point 1, 2, 3, 4 places this time. So check it out, minus 4.